The evening sun cast a warm orange glow through the windows of the Shale residence. Dinner had been wonderful, as always. Lillian Shale had prepared roasted chicken, buttered vegetables, fresh bread, and a berry pie for dessert. William Shale quietly enjoyed his tea. And across from them sat their daughter, Sapphire Shale, who was trying very hard to look completely uninterested. Unfortunately, she had underestimated her mother. Lillian smiled sweetly. So? Sapphire froze. So? The handsome young man. William nearly sighed. It had begun. Sapphire blinked. What handsome young man? Lillian smiled. The one you spent 20 minutes talking about. Sapphire's ears twitched. I did not. William took a sip of tea. Actually, dear, I counted. Sapphire turned toward him. Father! 12 times. Father! Lillian burst out laughing. William! What? The maid shrugged. I'm just stating facts. Sapphire's ears were beginning to turn purple. He was just a new adventurer. Lillian nodded. Very handsome, though. Mother! What? You said so yourself? William nodded. You did. Sapphire looked betrayed. Not you too. William smiled. He does seem like a nice young man. Father! Lillian smiled. And strong. He carried Mrs. Higgins' baskets. And he paid for a week at Clara's Inn in advance. And he helped Miss Evelyn across the street. And? Sapphire stared. Mother! How do you know all that? Lillian blinked. News travels. William coughed. Translation. The village grandmothers. Lillian laughed. They're efficient. Sapphire covered her face. Oh, by the gods! William smiled. So, what exactly did you think of him? Nothing. Lillian raised an eyebrow. Nothing? Nothing. He seemed nice. That's all. William nodded. Lillian smiled. And handsome? Sapphire nearly dropped her fork. Mother! Lillian laughed. What? I'm curious. William quietly shoveled another bite into his mouth. Experience had taught him that remaining unnoticed was the safest option. He smiled. Sapphire froze. Both parents looked up. Lillian's smile widened. He smiled? Sapphire immediately regretted speaking. Yes. William blinked. He smiled? Sapphire nodded. At the market. He nodded. And smiled. Lillian exchanged a glance with her husband. William looked intrigued. Well? Sapphire blinked. Well, what? How did it make you feel? It didn't. Really? Really. William smiled. Then why are your ears purple? Sapphire froze. Her hands flew to her ears. Lillian laughed so hard she almost spilled her tea. William! I'm sorry! No, I'm not. He wasn't afraid. Silence filled the room. Sapphire looked down. He wasn't suspicious. He didn't stare. He didn't look disgusted. He just... Her voice softened. Smiled. Lillian's expression changed. William's did too. Because they knew. They knew exactly why that mattered. Their beautiful daughter had endured 20 years of prejudice. And this strange young man from nowhere had smiled at her as though she were simply another person. Nothing more. Nothing less. William smiled softly. He sounds like a good man. Sapphire smiled. I think so too. Then she quickly added. But I barely know him. Lillian nodded. Of course. Of course. The older woman smiled mischievously. So, when are you seeing him again? Mother! William burst out laughing. Actually laughing. Which startled Sapphire. Her father almost never laughed like that. Oh dear. It's good to see you like this. Sapphire blinked. Like what? Happier. The room grew quiet. William smiled warmly. You've been smiling all evening. Sapphire froze. Lillian nodded. You have. And we haven't seen that smile in a long time. Sapphire's eyes widened. Really? William nodded. Really. And your mother and I like seeing it. Lillian reached over and squeezed her daughter's hand. We love you, sweetheart. And if this Mitchell fellow makes you smile, then your father and I already approve. William nodded. As long as he's kind. And judging from what you've told us, he is. Sapphire looked down. A small smile appeared, and her ears turned purple once more. He apologized to giant bees. Silence. William blinked. Lillian blinked. Then both burst out laughing. He what? He apologized to giant bees. Sapphire couldn't help it. She laughed too. And for the first time in years, the Shale home echoed with the sound of their daughter's laughter. Far above the mortal world, 21 creator gods watched. And Marra of the Forge smiled. Good. Very good. Now. She folded her arms proudly. Let nature take its course. The following morning dawned bright and beautiful. The birds sang. The sun shone. And Mitchell Kelly stood in front of his newly purchased home. He smiled. Mine! Behind the house stood the old forge building. Dusty. Neglected. Over 100 years old. And Mitchell's smile somehow became even bigger. It has a forge. Far above the mortal world. Marra smiled proudly. Another creator god chuckled. He likes the forge more than the house. Marra folded her arms proudly. As he should. Mitchell stepped inside. Dust danced in the morning sunlight. Cobwebs hung from the rafters. Rust coated many of the tools. The bellows were cracked. One wall leaned slightly. And the chimney needed repairs. Mitchell simply nodded. It'll do. Removing his leather gloves, he rolled up his sleeves. Then picked up a broom. Let's clean. For the next several hours, Mitchell swept. And swept. And swept. Dust disappeared. Cobwebs vanished. He carefully cleaned the workbenches. Oiled hinges. Straightened shelves. Removed rust from old tools. And carefully polished the anvil. His smile softened. This old girl has seen a lot of work. He gently ran his hand over the anvil. No worries. We'll make things together. Far above, Marra wiped her eyes. Another goddess blinked. Are you crying? No. Yes, you are. Marra sniffed. Look. He's polishing the anvil. The other gods looked. Silence fell. One old god quietly wiped away a tear. Oh. That's adorable. Hours later, Mitchell stepped outside. Covered in dust. Sweaty. Tired. Happy. He smiled toward the heavens. Thank you, Marra. Far above, Marra nearly burst into tears. He thanked me. Then Mitchell smiled. All right. Time to repair things. He placed his hand against the forge wall. Repair construction. Golden light spread. Cracks vanished. Warped boards straightened. Rot disappeared. Stone became whole. Broken shingles repaired themselves. Windows became crystal clear. The chimney straightened. Mitchell whistled. Handy. Next came the house. Over the next several hours, broken floorboards healed. Furniture repaired itself. Walls straightened. Paint renewed. The roof became strong once again. The well became pristine. Even the apple tree seemed healthier. By evening, the property looked exactly as it had over 100 years ago. Beautiful. Warm. Proud. As if time itself had been turned backward. Mitchell stood in awe. Wow. Not bad. But then he frowned. Need better security. After all, he planned on becoming a blacksmith. And expensive tools attracted thieves. Construction. The side of the forge opened. Slowly. Smoothly. Mitchell blinked. Huh! A roll-up door. He grinned. Nice. Though disguised with wood and iron fittings, it functioned with engineering principles centuries beyond anything in this world. Then came the locks. Modern deadbolts. Steel rods. Hidden catches. Reinforced hinges. Per future thieves. Huh! Why won't it open? What's a deadbolt? Why does this hinge move like that? What's stainless steel? Faced with tears of joy, Mitchell nodded proudly. There. Should keep honest people honest. Then he froze. Oh. Money! He opened the bag of infinity. And stared. Mountains. Literal mountains. Of gold coins. Jewels. Materials. Supplies. Equipment. More wealth than some kingdoms possessed. Mitchell blinked. Huh. Should probably be careful. Far above, 21 creator gods stared. One spoke. He has 100 billion gold. Another nodded. He'll probably spend 10 silver. Marra smiled. That's my boy. The following afternoon, 48 hours after purchasing the property, Mitchell stepped back and admired everything. The house. The forge. The apple tree. The well. The yard. Everything. Perfect. Beautiful. Home. He smiled. I'm glad I came here. And somewhere in the village, a certain white-haired dark elf paused, looked toward the distant property, and smiled without even realizing it. Because somehow, knowing that the strange handsome man had decided to stay in Marra's gaze, made her happy. Far above, Marra smiled. Good. Very good. Another god laughed. You're enjoying this too much. Marra grinned. I haven't even started. The morning sun shone brightly over Marra's gaze. Birds chirped. Merchants opened their shops. And Mitchell Cully sat at the kitchen table of his newly restored home with a piece of parchment. He scratched his chin. Let's see. He began making a list. Blacksmith hammers. Tongs. Iron ingots. Coal. Tempering oil. Quenching oil. Whetstones. Extra smithing gloves. Leather apron. Local metallurgy books. Mitchell smiled. Should keep me busy. Far above the mortal world, Marra peeked over his shoulder. He's making a shopping list. Another god blinked. You're watching him make a shopping list? Marra nodded proudly. Of course. Meanwhile, at the Adventurers Guild, Emily smiled. No quests today, Sapphire. The dark elf blinked. No quests? Nope. Clara grinned. Take a day off. Relax. Sapphire smiled softly. I suppose I could. Emily's eyes sparkled mischievously. Maybe go shopping? Sapphire narrowed her eyes. For groceries. Mother asked me to. Of course she did. A short while later, Mitchell happily walked through the village, his shopping list in hand, completely unaware that several grandmothers were smiling at him. Oh my! What a handsome young man! He smiles so nicely. I heard he bought old Mr. Tanner's house. And he's a blacksmith too. My granddaughter is single. Mitchell smiled. Good morning. The old women nearly melted. What manners! Meanwhile, Sapphire rounded a corner carrying a basket. And thump! Oh! I'm sorry! Both froze. Then blinked. Then spoke at exactly the same time. I'm sorry. They stared. Then both laughed nervously. Sapphire smiled. Good morning, Mitchell. His cheeks became slightly red. Good morning, Miss Sapphire. She smiled softly. Sapphire. Oh. Right. Sapphire. For a moment, neither knew what to say. Across the street, Mrs. Higgins, age 84. Watching through a bakery window. Eyes. Oh ho ho. Mitchell held up his shopping list. Actually, I was headed to Harold's shop. Sapphire blinked. The leather worker? Yes. I need some blacksmithing supplies. Her violet eyes widened. You smith? Mitchell smiled. A little. Far above, Marra spit out her tea. A little! Another creator god burst out laughing. He said a little! Sapphire smiled. I didn't know you were a blacksmith. Oh. I enjoy it. Nothing special. 21 creator gods collectively face-bombed. They began walking together. About 5 feet apart. Both smiling awkwardly. Neither noticing. Mrs. Higgins noticed. Eyes. As did 3 other grandmothers. Oh my! They're walking together. At Harold Hartman's leather workshop. Harold smiled. Morning, Sapphire. Morning, lad. Mitchell smiled. Good morning, sir. Harold chuckled. Polite one, ain't he? After helping Mitchell find gloves, aprons, and several leather tool pouches, Harold scratched his beard. Need anything else? Actually. Mitchell smiled. I'm looking for quenching oil. Harold blinked. Planning to use the old Tanner forge? Mitchell nodded. Yes. Harold laughed. Son, that place hasn't worked in 50 years. Sapphire smiled. He bought it. Harold blinked. You bought the Tanner property? Yes, sir. Fixed it up a little. Far above, Marra burst out laughing. A little! Harold smiled. Good luck with that. After leaving, the two walked toward the market district. Then Sapphire asked softly, How is your home coming along? Mitchell smiled. Oh, it's coming together. Translation. It looked brand new. Face with tears of joy. Actually, he scratched the back of his head. If you'd like. Sapphire blinked. Yes? I mean. His face became red. If you're interested. I finally cleaned the forge. And I thought perhaps you might like to see it sometime. Silence. 21 creator gods leaned forward. Eyes. Mrs. Higgins leaned out her window. Eyes. Clara froze while carrying breakfast plates. Eyes. Emily stopped writing. Eyes. Boren lowered his mug. Eyes. William Shale sneezed in his classroom. And poor Mitchell had absolutely no idea he had just invited a beautiful dark elf to his house. Sapphire's ears slowly began turning purple. She smiled. I'd like that. Mitchell smiled. Really? Really? Both smiled. Both blushed. And neither realized why they were suddenly happier. Mrs. Higgins nearly exploded. Oh ho ho ho! Far above, Marra folded her arms proudly. Good. Very good. Another creator god laughed. They think they're subtle. Marra grinned. They're adorable. After leaving Harold Hartman's leather workshop, Mitchell and Sapphire found themselves walking side by side down the streets of Marra's gaze. Neither seemed in any hurry. Neither really wanted to say goodbye just yet. Sapphire glanced down at the paper in Mitchell's hand. You certainly like lists. Mitchell laughed. I like being prepared. She smiled. I noticed. Then she lifted her basket. Mother asked me to pick up some things for dinner. Mitchell smiled. I need a few things myself. They both spoke at the same time. Would you like to shop together? Silence. Then both laughed. Far above, 21 creator gods leaned forward. Marra gasped dramatically. They asked each other. Another creator god chuckled. They're adorable. The two eventually reached Turner General Goods. A bell jingled above the door. Morning, Sapphire! Standing behind the counter was an older man with gray hair, spectacles, and suspenders. Samuel Turner, owner of the largest general store in Marra's gaze. Sapphire smiled. Good morning, Mr. Turner. Samuel noticed Mitchell. His eyes twinkled. And who's this young fellow? Mitchell smiled warmly. Mitchell Kelly, sir. Samuel grinned. Polite one, ain't ya? Then he looked at Mitchell's shopping list. Hammers? Tongs? Coal? Quenching oil? Whetstones? Starting a forge? Mitchell scratched his cheek. A little one. Far above. Marra spat out her tea. A little one! The other creator gods burst out laughing. Samuel chuckled. Son, that Tanner forge ain't worked in 50 years. Mitchell smiled. I'm hoping to change that. After purchasing tools, oil, and enough supplies to last several weeks, the pair headed toward the market district. The streets bustled with activity. Children laughed. Merchants called out their wares. Fresh bread filled the air. And everywhere Sapphire went, people smiled. Morning, Sapphire! Good morning, dear. How are your parents? Morning, Miss Shale. Mitchell smiled. You know everyone. Sapphire laughed softly. It's a small village. The elderly fruit vendor smiled. Morning, Sapphire. Then she noticed Mitchell. Eyes. Oh? Who's the handsome young man? Sapphire nearly stumbled. What? Mitchell blinked. Good morning, ma'am. The old woman smiled brightly. What manners? At the butcher shop. Morning, Sapphire. Then the butcher spotted Mitchell. Eyes. Oh ho? Sapphire's ears twitched. At the bakery. Morning, dear. Eyes. At the vegetable stand. Oh my. Eyes. Mitchell blinked. Everyone here is really friendly. Sapphire smiled nervously. Why, yes. Across the street. Mrs. Higgins nearly vibrated with excitement. Oh ho ho ho. Eventually Mitchell purchased chicken breasts, potatoes, corn, butter, and herbs. Sapphire blinked. Planning something? Mitchell smiled. I built a charcoal grill this morning. She stopped walking. You what? A grill. For lunch. Far above. Marra covered her face. He built a grill. Another creator god laughed. Before noon. Sapphire laughed. Actually laughed. And Mitchell found himself smiling simply because he enjoyed hearing it. Though he didn't understand why. You made a grill? It seemed useful. She shook her head. You really like building things. He grinned. I do. Then he hesitated. I was actually going to cook lunch. Sapphire nodded. That sounds nice. Another moment of silence. Then, would you still like to see the forge? Sapphire's ears immediately began turning purple. She smiled softly. I would. 30 minutes later. They stood before Mitchell's property. And Sapphire froze. The basket nearly slipped from her hands. No. Her violet eyes widened. No way. The house. The yard. The well. The apple tree. Everything. Perfect. Beautiful. Exactly as it must have looked over 100 years ago. And then she saw it. The forge. Her jaw dropped. It can't be. Mitchell smiled. It cleaned up nicely. Far above. Marra burst out laughing. Nicely. Sapphire simply stared. Mitchell. The Tanner forge looked ready to collapse. He scratched the back of his head. I repaired a few things. A few things? The dark elf slowly walked inside. And froze again. The forge gleamed. The anvil shined. Every tool sat neatly in place. Shelves were organized. Everything spotless. Everything beautiful. Everything loved. And somehow, the old forge felt alive again. Mitchell smiled. I cleaned the anvil by hand. Sapphire turned. You did? He nodded. It didn't feel right using magic. Marra made all of this possible. I wanted to show some respect. Far above, Marra quietly wiped away tears. He cleaned the anvil. Another creator god sighed. You're crying again. No, I'm not. Sapphire simply stood there. Looking at the forge. Looking at Mitchell. And for some reason, her heart felt warm. Because she could see something. Not power. Not wealth. Not magic. But kindness. Love. And gratitude. And somehow, that made the handsome man before her even more attractive. Though she would deny such thoughts to the grave. Mitchell smiled. So, would you like some grilled chicken? Sapphire blinked. Grilled? He nodded excitedly. I wanted to try the new grill. She smiled. And for some reason, the thought of spending the afternoon here, with him, made her happier than she'd been in years. I'd love to. Far above, 21 creator gods, Mrs. Higgins, and possibly half the village grandmothers. All cheered. Meanwhile, Marra folded her arms proudly. Good. Very good. Now, she smiled warmly. Let nature take its course. After admiring the restored forge, Mitchell smiled. So, would you like some lunch? Sapphire smiled. I'd love to. Outside, near the apple tree, Mitchell had built a simple charcoal grill. Nothing fancy. Just sturdy. Practical. And obviously made with care. Sapphire blinked. You really did build a grill. Mitchell laughed. It seemed useful. Soon, chicken rested over the hot coals. Wrapped in foil beside it were potatoes. And nearby, corn on the cob with butter sealed inside foil packets. Sapphire sniffed the air. That smells wonderful. Mitchell smiled. I hope so. I've made this before. The two sat beneath the apple tree while the food cooked. Birds chirped. The breeze was gentle. And somehow, everything felt peaceful. Sapphire smiled. You really enjoy making things. Mitchell grinned. I do. Always have. I was the sort of kid who took things apart. And occasionally put them back together. She laughed softly. Occasionally? Mostly. Her laugh made him smile. Not because he understood why. He just liked hearing it. What about you? Mitchell asked. What do you enjoy? Sapphire thought. Reading. Walking. Helping mother. Training. And father and I often discuss magic. He smiled. You must be close. Her expression softened. We are. Father found me. Mitchell looked over. When I was a baby. In the woods. He and mother raised me. They're the best parents anyone could ask for. Mitchell smiled warmly. They sound wonderful. They are. After a moment, Sapphire asked quietly. Do you miss your parents? Mitchell smiled softly. I do. But I think they'd be happy knowing I'm helping people. And honestly, he looked around. I'm beginning to think this world isn't such a bad place. Sapphire smiled. I'm glad. Eventually, Mitchell stood. Oh. Would you like to see the inside? She blinked. The house? Sure. She followed him. And froze. No. No way. The furniture. The shelves. The tables. The chairs. Everything. Beautiful. Everything looked brand new. As though time itself had reversed. The kitchen. Spotless. The living room. Warm and welcoming. Bookshelves. Comfortable chairs. Fresh curtains. Even the fireplace looked new. Sapphire simply stared. Mitchell. This house was over 100 years old. He nodded. It was. It cleaned up nicely. Far above, Marra nearly fell out of her chair. Nicely. The creator gods burst out laughing. He keeps saying that. Sapphire walked upstairs. Guest room. Study. Bedroom. Everything perfect. And then she stopped. You restored the furniture too? Mitchell nodded. Seemed ashamed to throw it away. A lot of people use these. Felt wrong not to preserve it. Sapphire smiled. You really are strange. He blinked. Good strange? She laughed. Good strange. Then her eyes widened. You have books. Mitchell smiled. I like books. I hope Father would visit someday. Her smile grew. He'd love this. Eventually they returned outside. The smell hit them immediately. Sapphire's eyes widened. Oh my! Mitchell opened the foil. Steam rose. Butter-covered corn. Soft baked potatoes. And juicy grilled chicken. Sapphire blinked. Mitchell! That smells incredible. He laughed nervously. I hope it tastes all right. 20 minutes later. The dark elf stared at her empty plate. Then at Mitchell. Then back at the plate. Mitchell blinked. Everything all right? She looked embarrassed. Could I have another potato? Mitchell smiled. Of course. Far above. Marra wiped away tears. She asked for seconds. Another god laughed. Calm down. No! Face with tears of joy red heart. As the afternoon sun bathed the yard in golden light, the two simply sat beneath the apple tree. Talking. Laughing. Enjoying one another's company. And neither realized that they had spent nearly 4 hours together, without once wanting to leave. Sapphire smiled. This has been nice. Mitchell smiled back. Yeah. It really has. And somewhere far above. Marra smiled proudly. Good. Very good. Then she looked at the other creator gods. They're going to be adorable. The others laughed. They already are. Eventually, the sun began its slow descent toward the horizon. Golden rays bathed the yard. And neither Mitchell nor Sapphire had realized how much time had passed. Until Sapphire blinked. Oh. The time. Mitchell looked up. Huh. It really is getting late. Silence. Not awkward. Just. Neither really wanted to say goodbye. Sapphire smiled softly. I should get home. My parents will be wondering where I am. Mitchell smiled. Of course. And thank you? She blinked. For what? For spending the day with me. It was nice. Sapphire smiled. It was. Very nice. After a moment, Mitchell scratched the back of his head. And, if you'd like, maybe sometime, we could do this again. Far above, 21 creator gods froze. Eyes. Marra slowly stood. He asked. Another god whispered. He asked. Sapphire's ears immediately turned purple, and a beautiful smile appeared on her face. I'd like that. Mitchell smiled. Really? Really? For a few moments, they simply stood there smiling like two adorable idiots. Face with tears of joy red heart. Finally. Good night, Mitchell. Good night, Sapphire. Then she paused. And smiled. Thank you for lunch. He grinned. I'm glad you liked it. As she walked down the road, Mitchell waved. She turned and waved back. Then continued toward the village. And smiled. 5 minutes later. She was still smiling. 10 minutes later. She realized something. She wasn't thinking about the market. Or the guild. Or tomorrow's quests. She was thinking about Mitchell. His smile. His laugh. His strange expressions. The way he talked about blacksmithing. How carefully he'd restored the old furniture. How respectfully he'd cleaned the anvil. How excited he'd been over a charcoal grill. Sapphire laughed softly. He's strange. Then smiled. Good strange. And somehow, that thought made her ears turn purple again. Oh, by the gods! The handsome idiot had somehow occupied her thoughts. And she didn't mind. Not even a little. Meanwhile, far above, Marra grinned. She's thinking about him. Another creator god nodded. Constantly. Good. Very good. Eventually, Sapphire reached home. And froze. Both parents were waiting. William sat reading in his chair. Though he wasn't actually reading. Lillian stood in the kitchen. Though she wasn't actually cooking. Both looked up. And both smiled. Good evening, sweetheart. Sapphire smiled. Good evening. William blinked. Then blinked again. Lillian's smile widened. Dangerously. Because their daughter was smiling. Not just smiling. Glowing. William lowered his book. Good day? Sapphire nodded. Very. Lillian smiled innocently. Oh? Anything interesting happen? Sapphire smiled. No. William and Lillian exchanged a glance. No. No one smiled like that after. Nothing. Really? William asked. Really. Lillian nodded. And where were you all afternoon? Sapphire blinked. Shopping. William nodded. Lillian smiled sweetly. Shopping. At Mitchell's house. Silence. William froze. Lillian froze. Then both slowly looked at each other. William's eyes widened. Lillian's smile became absolutely radiant. You went to his house. Mother! You had lunch. Mother! He cooked for you. Mother! William burst out laughing. Actually laughing. Which immediately doomed Sapphire. He made grilled chicken. Lillian gasped dramatically. He cooked for my baby. Mother! And potatoes. William! And corn. Dear, you're not helping. Sapphire buried her face in her hands. Oh, by the gods! But she couldn't stop smiling. And neither could her parents. Because for the first time in years, their daughter looked genuinely happy. And that made both of them happier than words could describe. Far above, Marra smiled. And quietly whispered, Thank you? Because she knew. William and Lillian had spent 20 years loving that little baby they had found in the woods. And seeing their daughter smile again was one of the greatest gifts they could ever receive. And somewhere in Marra's gaze, Mitchell sat on his porch, smiling to himself, looking at the stars. Without realizing, he was thinking about Sapphire. 2 days passed peacefully. For Mitchell Kelly, those 2 days had been wonderful. The forge lived again. The sound of hammer strikes echoed through the yard. And for the first time since arriving in this world, Mitchell truly felt at home. Clang! 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 Golden sparks danced. The old anvil rang proudly. And Mitchell smiled. Good to have you back, old girl. Far above, Marra wiped away tears. Another creator god sighed. Again? He called the anvil old girl, loudly crying face red heart. Today, however, Mitchell had decided to try something new. Horseshoes. Magic horseshoes. Speed enchant. Stamina enchant. Should help farmers. His right hand glowed faintly. The mark of Marra's chosen. Still hidden beneath his fingerless gloves. Unnoticed. Hours later. 4 beautiful horseshoes sat on the workbench. Mitchell smiled proudly. There. 4 times faster. And hopefully less fatigue. He scratched his head. Need a way to identify magical items. I really should know if they worked. Then he blinked. Oh. Sapphire might know somebody. At the Adventurers Guild. Emily smiled. Morning, Mitchell. Morning, Emily. Across the room. Sapphire smiled. Good morning, Mitchell. His face brightened immediately. Morning, Sapphire. Emily's eyes sparkled. Eyes. After chatting for a while, Mitchell rubbed the back of his neck. Actually, I wanted to ask something. Sapphire blinked. Of course. Do you know anyone who can cast Identify? Her ears twitched. My father can. Mitchell's eyes widened. He can? He's a mage. And he teaches beginner magic. He'd probably be happy to help. Really? Of course. Far away. William Shale sneezed. Lillian looked up. Bless you. William blinked. Thank you. I suddenly feel nervous. Face with tears of joy. An hour later, Mitchell stood outside the Shale residence. holding a wooden box, and trying very hard not to be nervous. Sapphire smiled. Relax. My parents don't bite. Inside, Lillian opened the door and froze. The handsome young man, standing beside her daughter. Lillian's smile became radiant. Oh! Mitchell! Meanwhile, far above, Marra sat up. It's happening! William stepped into the hallway and smiled. Good afternoon. Mitchell immediately bowed politely. Good afternoon, sir. My name is Mitchell Kelly. It's an honor to meet you. William smiled. And you? Lillian nearly exploded, loudly crying face red heart. Oh, he's polite. Sapphire buried her face in her hands. Mother! Soon, everyone sat around the dining table. Tea had somehow appeared. Cookies had somehow appeared. No one knew how. Lillian simply possessed mysterious mother powers. William smiled. So, Sapphire tells me you have something you'd like identified? Mitchell nodded. Yes, sir. I'm trying to learn enchanting, and I wanted to see if these worked. He opened the wooden box. Inside sat 4 beautifully crafted horseshoes. William smiled. Beautiful craftsmanship. Sapphire nodded proudly. I told you. I think he's an incredible blacksmith. Mitchell nearly choked. Really? Sapphire froze, realizing she'd said that out loud. Well, you are. Her ears turned purple, face with tears of joy red heart. William smiled. Then cast Identify. Silence. He blinked. Blinked again. His smile disappeared. Lillian blinked. William? Sapphire tilted her head. Father? William slowly removed his glasses. Then cleaned them. Then cast Identify again. Mitchell became worried. Oh dear. Did I make a mistake? William slowly looked up. No. No, Mitchell. You made. He swallowed. Legendary artifacts. Silence. Mitchell blinked. What? Sapphire blinked. What? Lillian blinked. What? William's voice trembled. These horseshoes increase running speed 10-fold. Mitchell froze. They completely eliminate fatigue. Mitchell froze harder. And? William swallowed. They grant flight. Dead silence. Mitchell stared. I wanted 4 times speed. Face with tears of joy. Sapphire burst out laughing. Actually laughing. And once she started, she couldn't stop. Lillian laughed. William laughed. And finally, Mitchell laughed too. I think I overdid it. William stared at the horseshoes. Then at Mitchell. Then back at the horseshoes. And suddenly understood something. His daughter had been right. This young man really was a master craftsman. But more importantly, he was humble, polite, kind, and judging by the look on Sapphire's face, he made his daughter happy. William smiled, and thought to himself, I like this young man. Meanwhile, Lillian had already skipped several steps. He's handsome. He's polite. He cooks. He builds houses. He respects Marra. And he makes Sapphire smile. Excellent. Face with tears of joy red heart. Far above, Marra folded her arms proudly. Good. Very good. Another creator god laughed. You're enjoying this too much. Marra smiled warmly. No. I'm enjoying exactly enough. The laughter around the Shale family table slowly subsided, though every now and then Sapphire would giggle again, which made Mitchell smile, because he liked hearing her laugh, though he still didn't understand why. William carefully set the 4 horseshoes back inside their wooden box. His expression remained one of utter disbelief. I still cannot believe these. They should not exist. Mitchell scratched the back of his head. Sorry. William blinked. Sorry? My boy, these are masterpieces. Lillian smiled warmly. And they're beautiful. Mitchell smiled. Thank you. Then he thought for a moment. What do you think of the name Pegasus Shoes? Silence. William blinked. Lillian blinked. Sapphire blinked. Pegasus Shoes? Mitchell nodded. Well, they make horses fly. So I thought it fit. Sapphire burst out laughing. Actually laughing. And once she started, she couldn't stop. Lillian laughed. William laughed. Even Mitchell began laughing. I think it's perfect. William smiled. Simple. Memorable. And rather fitting. Lillian grinned. Besides, it's cute. Mitchell blinked. Really? Sapphire smiled. I like it. And somehow, those 3 words made Mitchell happier than they should have. Meanwhile, far above, Marra smiled proudly. Pegasus Shoes. Another creator god laughed. He's terrible at naming things. Yes. But he's trying. The conversation continued long into the evening. Magic. Books. Blacksmithing. Childhood stories. William discovered that Mitchell genuinely enjoyed learning. Lillian discovered that Mitchell cooked. And Sapphire discovered, to her embarrassment, that Mitchell and her father got along frighteningly well. At one point, William smiled. So, Mitchell, what inspired you to become a blacksmith? Mitchell smiled. Creating things. Helping people. I like seeing people smile. And I suppose, he chuckled, I've always preferred making things over breaking them. William nodded approvingly. A noble philosophy. Sapphire smiled. And for some reason, her heart felt warm. Eventually, as the evening grew late, Mitchell stood. Thank you for the tea. And thank you for identifying the horseshoes. William smiled. My pleasure. Lillian smiled. You're welcome any time. Then she glanced at Sapphire. And smiled innocently. Any time. Mother. As Sapphire walked Mitchell to the door. Neither really wanted the evening to end. Good night, Mitchell. Good night, Sapphire. And once again. Neither moved for several seconds. Far above. 21 creator gods. Marra. They're doing it again. Eventually, they both laughed nervously. And Mitchell headed home beneath the stars. Over the next few days, life in Marra's gaze continued peacefully. Until rumors began. Old Farmer Higgins lost 2 sheep. Farmer Jenkins lost a cow. Another farm lost 3 goats. People whispered. Wolves? Bandits? Goblins? No tracks. No blood. No answers? And then, a shepherd disappeared. The guild hall grew quiet. Guildmaster Boren frowned. I don't like this. Several days later, a new quest appeared on the board. Investigation request. Livestock disappearances. Reward 5 gold. Investigate recent disappearances affecting farms around Marra's gaze. Most adventurers ignored it. The reward was small. But 2 people stopped. Mitchell and Sapphire. They glanced at each other. Then smiled. Want to investigate together? Both spoke at exactly the same time. Then blinked. Then laughed. Far above, Marra stood triumphantly. Yes! Another creator god sighed. You're cheering for the romance again. Marra smiled. Of course. They're adorable. Several peaceful days passed in Marra's gaze. Mitchell spent his mornings at the forge, his afternoons helping villagers, and his evenings either reading books or occasionally visiting the Shale family. Life was good, peaceful, simple, and Mitchell couldn't help but smile. I think I'm going to like it here. Unfortunately, not everyone shared his happiness. Rumors had begun spreading throughout the village. Farmer Higgins had lost sheep. Farmer Jenkins had lost a cow. Old Mr. Cooper had lost 3 goats. And 2 days ago, a shepherd had vanished. No tracks. No blood. No answers. people whispered. Wolves? Goblins? Bandits? No. Something bigger. At the Adventurers Guild, the atmosphere had become quieter than usual. Guildmaster Boren frowned as he read another report. I don't like this. Nearby, Emily organized paperwork. We've received 6 reports now. Clara frowned. Farmers are getting scared. Boren nodded. And rightly so. Several adventurers glanced at the investigation request, then shook their heads. 5 gold? Too much work. Probably wolves. I'm taking goblin quests. Boren scowled. Damn fools. The front doors opened, and in walked Mitchell. Morning, everyone. Several adventurers smiled. Morning. The old dwarf raised his mug. Morning, lad. Mitchell smiled. Morning, sir. 5 minutes later, the doors opened again, and Sapphire entered. Morning, Sapphire. Good morning. Morning. Emily smiled. Morning, Sapphire. The dark elf smiled. Morning, Emily. And then, both stopped. Because both had reached for the same quest. Their hands touched. They blinked. Oh. Sorry. No, I'm sorry. And then, they both spoke at exactly the same time. Would you like to investigate together? Silence. Emily froze. Clara froze. The old dwarf lowered his mug. Guildmaster Boren slowly raised an eyebrow. And then Sapphire and Mitchell blinked, before laughing nervously. Far above, 21 creator gods exploded. Marra jumped out of her chair. They did it again! Another creator god laughed. They share one brain cell. Mitchell smiled. I'd be happy to. Sapphire smiled. So would I. Emily nearly squealed. Clara actually squealed. The old dwarf laughed. Ha! About bloody time. Sapphire blinked. About time? The dwarf immediately buried his face behind his mug. Nothing. Didn't say nothing. Guildmaster Boren chuckled. Then his expression became serious. Actually, I'm glad you two are taking this. The room quieted. Boren crossed his arms. At first we thought wolves. Then goblins. But livestock aren't the only thing disappearing. Mitchell frowned. What do you mean? Boren sighed. 2 shepherds. 1 hunter. And yesterday, a traveling merchant. Silence filled the guild hall. Sapphire's expression changed immediately. Mitchell's smile disappeared. Have bodies been found? Boren slowly shook his head. No. Which worries me more. Emily swallowed. Clara looked uneasy. The old dwarf lowered his mug. And suddenly, the quest no longer felt routine. Boren looked at both of them. I don't think this is wolves. I don't think it's goblins. And I don't think it's bandits. What I do think, he frowned, is that something intelligent is out there. And I want answers. Mitchell nodded. We'll find them. Sapphire nodded beside him. We'll help. Boren smiled. I know you will. Then he pointed at Mitchell. And lad? Yes, sir? Don't do anything stupid. Mitchell smiled. I won't. Far above, 21 creator gods. And Marra burst out laughing. Meanwhile, miles away, deep within the southern forest, a massive shadow sat beside a campfire. 2 enormous heads argued. Bruck. Cow better. Mog. Wrong. Sheep better. Bruck. Human tastes best. Mog. No. Elf tastes best. Bruck. Human. Mog. Elf. And neither one realized that somewhere in Marra's gaze, 2 people had just accepted a quest, and their peaceful days were about to change. After accepting the quest, Mitchell and Sapphire sat down with Guildmaster Boren. Emily joined them with several reports, and Clara somehow appeared with tea. No one questioned this. Clara simply possessed mysterious waitress powers. Boren spread several papers across the table. 6 livestock disappearances. 2 shepherds. 1 hunter. And most recently. He frowned. A traveling merchant. Mitchell's expression grew serious. Do we know where? Emily nodded. About 8 miles south. Near the southern forest. Sapphire immediately leaned forward. Then that's where we start. Everyone looked at her. The merchant? Boren asked. She nodded. The most recent disappearance. The freshest tracks. If anything remains, that's where we'll find our clues. William's voice echoed in her memory. Always start with the newest evidence. Mitchell smiled. Makes sense to me. Boren nodded approvingly. Good thinking. Emily smiled proudly. That's our Sapphire. Sapphire's ears twitched slightly. Mitchell smiled. You're really good at this. The dark elf's cheeks became slightly blue. Thank you. Far above. Marra smiled. Compliment successful. Another creator god nodded. Critical hit. An hour later. The pair stood outside the village gates. Mitchell wore his leather armor. His 2-handed sword rested on his back. And several pouches hung from his belt. Sapphire wore her adventurer's armor beneath her sky-blue cloak. Her twin swords rested at her waist. Bow and quiver on her back. The guards smiled. Good luck. Mitchell smiled. We'll do our best. As they walked down the dirt road, birds chirped overhead. The sun shone brightly. And for a while, neither spoke. Then Mitchell smiled. So, first real quest together. Sapphire smiled. It is. Excited? A little. Nervous? A little. Mitchell laughed. Me too. And somehow, that made Sapphire smile. After several hours, they reached the merchant's wagon. Both stopped. Silence filled the forest. The wagon stood abandoned. One wheel broken. Goods scattered. And the horse. Gone. Mitchell frowned. No blood. Sapphire knelt. Her expression immediately became serious. Something happened here. Her violet eyes examined the ground. Broken branches. Disturbed earth. Crushed grass. Mitchell simply waited. Trusting her. She smiled. Thank you? Most adventurers would already be stepping all over the tracks. He blinked. Oh. I figured you knew what you were doing. Her ears twitched happily. Far above. Marra grinned. He trusts her. Another creator god smiled. Good. Sapphire closed her eyes. Then softly whispered. Hunter's insight. A faint green glow appeared around her eyes. The world sharpened. And suddenly, she froze. Mitchell immediately noticed. Sapphire? Her voice became very quiet. Mitchell. What is it? She slowly stood. And pointed toward the trees. Those. Mitchell turned. And blinked. Footprints. Huge footprints. Almost 3 feet long. His eyes widened. Those aren't bear tracks. Sapphire swallowed. No. They're humanoid. Very large. And. She knelt again. Her face paled. Mitchell. What? There are 2 sets. Silence. No. Not 2 creatures. 2 sets. She looked up. Her voice barely above a whisper. Coming from the same footprints. Mitchell blinked. What? Sapphire swallowed. Whatever made these. It has 2 walking patterns. And both are in perfect step. Far above. 21 creator gods leaned forward. Eyes. Marra smiled. Oh. It's beginning. Meanwhile. Many miles away. Deep within a cave. 2 massive heads argued. Bruck. Cow best. Mog. No! Merchant horse best. Bruck. Horse chewy. Mog. You chewy. Bruck. Stupid head. Mog! You stupid head! And neither one realized that two adventurers, one handsome blacksmith, and one beautiful dark elf, had just found the first clue.